Ever wondered what truly captivates a woman's heart, especially when that heart yearns for what it seemingly can't possess? Dive into the secret garden of feminine fantasy, a place where the elusive isn't just desired, but profoundly yearned for. It's a landscape painted with vibrant, often unspoken desires, intricate psychological patterns, and the subtle, sometimes powerful influence of our cultural narratives. From the thrill of the chase to the deep-seated yearning for an idealized form of care, let's peel back the layers and explore why so many women find themselves drawn to the captivating enigma of the unattainable man. The irresistible pull of the forbidden and the scarcity effect. There's a curious truth about human nature. We often crave what we can't easily have. This isn't just a quirk. It's a deeply ingrained psychological principle known as the scarcity effect. Imagine that limited edition designer bag or the last slice of cake. Suddenly, its perceived value skyrockets. The same holds true in our romantic lives. When a person is emotionally, physically, or otherwise unavailable, their attention becomes a precious commodity, something to be strived for precisely because it's not readily given. This dynamic can create a powerful, almost magnetic pull, feeding our desire and making it incredibly difficult to let go. The less accessible someone is, the more our minds unconsciously assign them a higher value. This allure of the forbidden isn't new. It's a theme that echoes through history and culture. Think about ancient societies, particularly those influenced by strict moral codes like Confucianism in feudal Vietnam. Topics like sexuality were often deemed taboo, pushing these natural human instincts into the realm of the suppressed. Yet, as psychological theories suggest, what is suppressed doesn't disappear. It merely finds new, often disguised, ways to surface. Consider the ingenious poetry of Ho Xuan Huang, a Vietnamese poetess who, within a rigid societal framework, masterfully wove double meanings and clever wordplay into her verses, ostensibly describing landscapes or everyday objects, while subtly hinting at deeper forbidden sexual themes. Her art allowed her to speak about the unspeakable, to express natural desires in a way that circumvented the strict censorship of her time. In a similar vein, fantasies become our personal canvases for exploring the forbidden. They are a safe, private space where desires that might be culturally or personally taboo, or simply unfulfilled in reality, can bloom without consequence. The man in these fantasies often embodies the very traits that make him unavailable in the real world, perhaps his aloofness, his self-sufficiency, or his emotional distance. But in the theater of our minds, these very qualities become the fuel for a compelling narrative where his scarcity only intensifies our yearning. It's a delicious paradox. The more he seems beyond reach, the more intensely he is desired, an embodiment of that A is A but is actually B principle, where the man is who he is, yet also represents the profound fulfillment of a deeper, perhaps forbidden, longing. The thrill of the chase and the fixer mentality. Beyond the sheer magnetism of scarcity, many women are drawn to the exhilarating thrill of the chase. It's a high-stakes game where the very challenge of winning over an emotionally distant man generates a potent rush of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. This isn't necessarily about a malicious intent to pursue someone already taken or unwilling. It's often rooted in a deeper psychological quest. There's a profound desire to be seen, to be chosen, to be the one who can melt the heart of a man who seems impervious to others. The feeling of being desired by someone who doesn't easily desire can be incredibly validating, making us feel uniquely special. This psychological dynamic often overlaps with the allure of the bad boy. Media, from classic films to modern TV, shows has long glamorized these figures, portraying them with an air of dominance, rebelliousness, and swagger. On a subconscious level, some women may find themselves drawn to the raw, untamed energy associated with higher testosterone levels in such men, perceiving it as a sign of good genes, a primal evolutionary pull, particularly prominent during certain phases of the menstrual cycle. But the attraction runs deeper than biology. For many women, especially those who were socialized to be obedient and suppress their individuality during childhood, the bad boy represents a vicarious rebellion. He embodies the freedom and wildness they might secretly crave but feel unable to express. As one sociologist aptly put it, we are attracted to qualities in others that we wish we possessed. Thus, fantasizing about a man who is a bit dangerous, a bit untamed, can be a way to indirectly live out one's own suppressed desires for freedom and defiance. Another powerful and perhaps more poignant aspect of this dynamic is the fixer mentality. Many women, driven by an inherent nurturing instinct, hold a deep-seated belief that their love can save or transform a rebellious or emotionally unavailable man. It's a compelling narrative. The idea that her unique love will be the catalyst for his change. This fantasy can be incredibly persistent, even when reality consistently demonstrates that people only change if and when they want to. This unwavering belief in his potential, coupled with the desire to be the one to unlock it, fuels a powerful, often frustrating cycle of attraction to the unattainable. The mothering fantasy and the comfort of infantile pleasure. Now, let's delve into an even more nuanced, often unconscious aspect of this attraction: the mothering fantasy. Grounded in Freudian psychoanalysis, particularly as adapted by feminist theorists like Nancy Chodorow, this theory suggests that women often carry a subconscious desire to return to an infantile state, a time when all their needs were met effortlessly and unconditionally, much like the bond with a primary caregiver. In a world where societal expectations often place the burden of emotional labor and caregiving on women, for their partners, children, and even extended family, this yearning for being taken care of becomes a profound, often unfulfilled need. This is where romance narratives, and consequently fantasies about unattainable men, step in. Within these fictional realms, the male hero often assumes an almost mothering role. He is depicted as powerful, protective, and deeply attuned to the heroine's every need, ensuring her safety and satisfaction, sometimes even at the expense of his own well-being. Think about popular culture examples like the movie 365 Days, where the male lead treats the heroine not just as a lover, but as a baby girl, showering her with shopping sprees, carrying her to bed, and protecting her from all harm. He is her ultimate caretaker and defender, making her feel like a little girl whose every desire is met. This feminization of the male hero in romance is fascinating. While patriarchal narratives traditionally define masculinity through strength, conquest, and independence, romance novels often present men who exhibit traits culturally associated with women: patience, emotional availability, within the unavailable fantasy context, and an unwavering focus on the partner's well-being. This creates an idealized partner who provides the emotional care and effortless fulfillment that is often absent in real-life patriarchal relationships. However, the mothering fantasy is a double-edged sword. While it offers immense psychological pleasure and a temporary respite from the demands of real life, it's also inherently an unachievable fantasy. The very nature of this vicarious fulfillment means it's often inadequate, leading to a repetitive cycle of seeking that same feeling. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. It temporarily quenches, but ultimately leaves you craving more. This constant yet unfulfilled desire for that perfect, effortless care is a significant reason why the fantasy of the unattainable man persists, offering a comforting, albeit fictional, return to an idealized past. The power of mystery, unpredictability, and Machiavellian principles. Perhaps one of the most potent ingredients in the allure of the unattainable man is the power of mystery and unpredictability. A man who doesn't lay all his cards on the table, who maintains an air of indifference or self-possession, becomes an enigma. And humans, by nature, are drawn to enigmas. This uncertainty acts as a powerful stimulant, fueling imagination, hope, and an intense, almost obsessive desire. It's what psychologists call the intermittent reward effect. When rewards are unpredictable, we become more captivated and invested in the pursuit. Just like a lottery ticket, the uncertainty of the outcome keeps us hooked. This concept finds a surprisingly clear parallel in the principles of Niccolò Machiavelli, not just in politics, but in human relationships. Machiavelli, a master observer, of human nature, understood that people often respect and are compelled by those they cannot fully control or possess. In the context of relationships, a man who demonstrates ultimate self-mastery, who has a strong sense of self-worth, independent of a woman's approval, and who is capable of walking away, exudes a powerful form of freedom. This isn't about cruelty or manipulative games. It's about authenticity and strong boundaries. His perceived unavailability, his quiet confidence, and his unwavering principles make him an unconquerable territory. Consider the man who sets clear standards and is willing to disengage if those standards are violated. His withdrawal, his very absence, speaks volumes, often more powerfully than any desperate plea or emotional declaration. This creates a respectful fear, not of physical harm, but of loss, of being left behind by someone who clearly values his own integrity above all else. Women tend to remember the cold emptiness of loss far more vividly than gifts or affirmations. A man who can leave, who embodies this supreme self-reliance, becomes an unforgettable absence, forcing a woman to confront her own desires and perhaps reevaluate her self-worth in relation to his unshakable presence. Conversely, a man who is always available, always compliant, and constantly seeking approval quickly becomes predictable, losing his mystique and, consequently, a significant part of his appeal. Machiavelli's wisdom suggests that the vulgar crowd is always caught by appearances, and in love, constant availability can make one appear mundane. The mystery created by a man who maintains his own world, his own passions, and his own boundaries captivates the subconscious, making him not just desired, but deeply respected. His power lies not in controlling others, but in his inability to be controlled, in his ability to stand as a calm mountain that cannot be swayed. This balance of desire and caution ensures that the relationship, even in fantasy, remains dynamic and never falls into the trap of becoming mundane or taken for granted. Fantasy is an escape, a mirror, and a transgressive act beyond the complex. Psychological underpinnings. Fantasizing about men we can't have also serves vital roles as an escape, a mirror, and even a subtly transgressive act. From a psychological perspective, fantasizing is a normal and often healthy part of the human experience. It offers a much-needed distraction from the everyday monotony of relationships or the frustrations of being single. It can boost self-confidence by allowing us to imagine ourselves as desired, powerful, or utterly irresistible. In these private worlds, women can explore sexual desires that might feel taboo or unexpressed in reality. These fantasies often take a romanticized form, sex in exotic locations, or a prolonged, delicious buildup of sexual tension. But they can also delve into darker, more complex territories, reflecting the full spectrum of human desire. Regardless of their content, fantasies provide a safe arena for women to understand their own sexualities and desires, free from judgment or societal constraints. More profoundly, fantasies can act as a form of interlanguage, a concept explored in feminist theory. Just as Ho Xuan Huang used the everyday language of her time to subtly encode forbidden sexual meanings, women use the available masculine discourse, the conventional ways relationships are portrayed and understood, to express their own feminine fantasy and pleasure. In a world where women have often lacked the power to define their own experiences or articulate their desires in a universally recognized language, fantasy becomes a crucial tool. It allows women to translate their lived experiences and unfulfilled longings into a narrative that, while perhaps still constrained by existing frameworks, subtly subverts them. These fantasies, then, are not just idle daydreams. They are a nucleus of a female ideal, allowing women to imagine and conceptualize relationships that reality often fails to provide, relationships where emotional labor is equally shared, where women's needs are paramount, and where they are truly cherished. In this respect, fantasizing can be a quietly transgressive act, subtly challenging patriarchal norms and revealing the inadequacies of the male-centric world. It's a way for women to keep alive the possibility of a different reality, to articulate desires that are as yet unknown and spoken by no one in mainstream discourse. The pitfalls of fantasy and the path to healthy reality, while The allure of the unattainable man and the act of fantasizing offer rich psychological landscapes and avenues for self-exploration. It's crucial to acknowledge their potential pitfalls. The very strength of fantasy lies in its ability to create an idealized reality. But this can become a double-edged sword. Fantasies, particularly those cultivated through romance novels or media, can glamorize reality to an extent that sets utterly unrealistic expectations for real-life men and relationships. When a real man inevitably falls short of the meticulously crafted hero in one's mind, perhaps he isn't always perfectly charming, or he doesn't anticipate every emotional need, he might be unfairly written off. This can lead to a cycle of discontent, where good, kind, and genuinely loving partners are overlooked because they don't fit the cinematic storyline we've formulated in our heads. Moreover, persistent engagement with fantasies about unattainable partners can be a sign of deeper, unresolved psychological issues. A recurring pattern of desiring what cannot be had might stem from low self-esteem, a fear of rejection, or even past relational traumas. In such cases, the thrill of the chase becomes a self-sabotaging loop, where the lack of fulfillment reinforces feelings of inadequacy. The bad boy who is initially captivating for his rebellious spirit might, in reality, be emotionally unavailable or even abusive, a Trojan horse of negative traits that only reveal themselves after significant emotional investment. Ultimately, while the inner world of fantasy provides a vibrant space for exploration and escape, true maturity in love involves aligning our deepest desires with a healthy, reciprocal reality. As women mature, many come to realize that genuine happiness lies not in endlessly pursuing the elusive or in trying to fix an unwilling partner, but in seeking relationships built on mutual respect, shared emotional labor, and authentic connection. It means cultivating self-worth that is inherent, not dependent on external validation or the conquest of an unavailable heart. Conclusion. The compelling allure of the unattainable man is a complex tapestry woven from primal instincts, profound psychological needs, and the subtle dance of cultural narratives. These fantasies, while sometimes offering a fascinating glimpse into our inner worlds and even subtly challenging societal norms, also carry the risk of disconnecting us from the imperfect beauty of real-life connections. Understanding this dynamic empowers us not to erase our rich inner lives, but to navigate them with wisdom, ensuring that our deepest desires for love, respect, and autonomy find their truest, most fulfilling expression, not just in our minds, but in the vibrant reality of our lives.